We sold our apartment in the city and planned to stay in the cabin while we hunted for our property. But that safe haven got taken away. Luckily, we had just camperized our truck for island hopping while looking for our future home. Real estate stock was low and prices weren't going down as we anticipated, so we camped all summer and waited it out. But then the temperature started to drop, and we realized that we needed something more permanent lodging-wise. We considered buying a van or renting a place. Our friend Pedro had a spare room, so we decided to stay there while we prepared our offer on the only property that seemed to fit our needs. They didn't want our offer, so we made an offer on a recycled house to barge over to the small, houseless farm we loved. When they didn't want our offer either, it was pretty clear it was time for Plan B. A year or so back, while searching for our ideal property, we couldn't help but notice how much more affordable European real estate was compared to Canadian. At the time, we dedicated a couple of weeks to research and started building a logistics plan to see if we could really move to some of these amazing places. It isn't quite as easy as being willing to move. Out of the lot, Portugal seemed to be the most reasonable to emigrate to.
But all the uncertainties and fear of starting over only fueled us to go full force on what we knew. So we stuck with our Gulf Island plan. And you know how that turned out.
It was sort of a no-brainer. If we weren't willing to change our dream, we were going to have to change our location. We were finally ready to reopen our Plan B file. But the idea alone of this giant pivot was exhausting, especially after working so hard in one direction. We were going to need space and time to build our resolve and iron out the details. Somewhere to fully immerse ourselves in everything Portugal. So we were just talking about how uncomfortable it feels, but how good it is to feel uncomfortable, because you learn things. As soon as we put the camera off, we don't remember what we're talking about. On. I think in terms of learning, growing, seeing things from a different angle, make you look at things differently, and that can only be good.
Yeah, it's healthy. We know what it's like to be surrounded by people who are stuck in their way and inflexible and on repeat.
Right.
It's not healthy.
So even though like staying in the unknown is a challenge,
Yeah.
it's a worthy one with many nuggets that can only come in handy down the line or make you like a fuller human.
It's difficult because it's like, it's tiring. Just navigating. It's all a mental challenge. And then if you're kind of tapped already, it's extra.
We've been many places in the world and on vacation, but it's a bit different when you're looking for something. You're not spending wildly because you're on a pretty big budget, because you're all invested in finding the thing you're looking for. So we were dealing with not belonging, like even back in our apartment, we were having these feelings that we didn't belong because things had changed for us. Like on a spiritual level, we wanted different things. We wanted more nature, less city, yada yada yada. You guys know what it's all about. But then we went to a place. We just spent a couple months in a place where we didn't belong, and now we're in a new place freshly where we don't belong. And we just thought it was a good time for a little check-in of our vulnerability levels.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're here trying to get everything set towards Portugal, where we've been to Europe extensively. Neil used to live there, but both of us have never been to Portugal, so it's just, it's a lot. It's a lot of not belonging, and I guess it takes a lot of faith and perseverance, which, I mean, we should be very skilled in at this point. But you have these little moments of like, you want like everything to be like easy and a warm blanket around you.
We should be completely overjoyed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, and we're kind of beating ourselves up because we're not completely overjoyed. We're so lucky, we're like, but it just feels, both of us get this feeling like, oh my God, we need to get to work. We are getting to work of achieving our dream, but it feels like almost indulgent, and I wonder where that comes from. That's a teaching that we need to unlearn, because, you know, like, you need to be productive and useful to make like, what's not useful about going after your dreams, going after what makes you feel good, being able to give back to a community in that way, which is what, you know, we want to build something that benefits others than just us. So just challenging all of those thoughts and like little bits of dread when they creep in, reorganizing challenge.
And a bit of an inner battle.
The struggle is real.
Yes.
Okay, we're spoiled rotten. That's it.
Spoiled rotten. And we're trying to deal with that.
We chose Zihuatanejo as our safe harbor, but it wasn't the quiet fishing village we were expecting. It was a very bustling town, and particularly stimulating for the holidays. The first week was difficult. It was busy, loud, and hostile.
I just wanted to take a moment to record this. And just
Size of my head.
yeah,
Is it necessary?
no, be careful what you order.
Yeah.
Can't get anything right here, can we?
No, it's a weird struggle.
Spoiled brats, take 7.
Yeah.
We didn't feel like we belonged here either. We were still digesting our loss, as well as trying to make room for Plan B, which entailed researching, planning, and executing all of the things necessary to move to Europe, as well as figure out all of the information relevant to buying rural property there, the way we had already done for BC. We were also trying to land some budget-friendly, long-term accommodation.
And scene.
It was a tense time, and we were impatient. We just wanted to have comfort, our property, the life we had invested everything into procuring. We were not giving ourselves the space to mourn our loss, heal, and grow into this new version of our dream. And we were beating ourselves up for not having a lovely time. When you try to bypass processing big emotions, they tend to snowball, attract like energies, and follow you around, even to sunny paradise. Holding space for big moves and changes and dreams takes an extraordinary amount of energy. So we decided to reform to a take it easy and be good to yourself approach, to allow ourselves some time to catch up to the new plans.
As soon as we surrendered, something really great happened. We landed an inexpensive long-term accommodation, and our accumulated faith started to kick in.
A nice big patio with lovely views and a lot of noise. The new place was in the bustling Mercado neighborhood, and at first the loud music and constant noise was sort of charming. But that didn't last long.
A las 7 de la noche. Los esperamos aquí en Rosy Shop hoy 7:30. 11 se queda hasta las 7:30. ¿Quién más se quiere?
Constant noise billowed up from the street into our new home, and we had to keep the windows open so that we didn't roast like Conchinita Pibil. In the evening, the heat mellowed, but the noise did not. We were exhausted from lack of sleep, which added to our overall drain. Our first place was overpriced and had no privacy. Our second place was too loud and too hot. We were starting to feel like Goldilocks. This is when we started to get up early, which wasn't hard, as the noise in the street started at around 5 a.m. and lasted late into the evening. We would go for long walks before the sun forced us inside. We found lovely neighborhoods out of the town center and explored each area's unique beauty.
New ideas, or tender buds as we call them, need nurturing and support. Hi. Hi, sweetie. But you can't expect that from outside yourself. Hates us. That's a smart dog right there. In fact, sometimes our best, bravest, most truthful moments have the effect of turning us into a mirror to those around us that are feeling stuck in their life, but too afraid to change. Cola. That's our big 3-hour outing. It was a lot. We didn't get any work done. We're trained to seek safety and stability, to fear standing out and doing things differently. And that is why it feels dangerous to yourself and to others who see you doing just that. No matter anyone's personal definition of what a life well lived entails, it's likely not living a life that you don't want, or chagrining others who are brave enough to go for what they want. Lack of understanding and curiosity from others is usually from those who would rather stay chained. And it's sort of understandable. Change is uncertain and scary.
Luckily, we get to choose what our lives are about.
The Christmas
The
man.
garbage man. Señor Basura.
We've said it before, but it's funny how scary freedom and opportunity can feel. If something's off, we ask, what needs tweaking? How can we get back to our holistic selves? What do we know to be true? Time to revisit our cabin lessons.
Our daily walks were medicine and healthy time away from visas and research. The vivid colors of Mexico started to invigorate us. Inspiring murals and accidental art collaborations were on every wall in layers of over-painted signage. Shortly after arriving to our second abode, we discovered a neighbor, a partially domesticated cat that lived on the roof of the building. We started leaving her water and food.
Our first research deep dive regarding Portugal was how we could live there legally.
We looked into getting an EU passport as a means to move to Europe legally, but stopped our research short based on information that was shared with us by someone who had gone through the process. We had researched the Golden Visa, where you basically buy your way into citizenship via investing in that country's infrastructure, starting a business, or purchasing a property, the latter of which was already much higher than when the incentive program began, and no longer an option via property investment in Portugal. Tecate, the man's beer.
It's really just the champagne of Mexican beer, isn't it? It's Tecate time.
On New Year's Eve, we made a friend across the way. Her name was Frida, and when the language barrier combined with our having to yell across a busy street got in the way of our conversation, we decided to do something about it. It wasn't easy to direct our paper planes exactly where we wanted to, but we had fun running down to the street to retrieve our failed flights. We had a really great time learning each other's favorite colors and how many siblings we had, and chatting about how hot it was. Frida also hurled grapes at us for our New Year's celebration, a tradition we were familiar with as we rang in 2020 in Spain. Thanks for playing with us, Frida. The firework display was festive, yet not unlike what a war zone must sound like.
A new year with new goals and new challenges and new tools. When something is gnawing at your sustenance, you know it. Trust your perceptions and do something about it.
Load the trap. You're gonna do great.
There it is.
Oh!
And if your first attempt fails, don't give up. Try again. Next up on our research agenda was which visas were available to us.
There was the D2 visa, which again was more for entrepreneurs investing in or starting business in Portugal, which we did plan to do, but that would be for passive rental income, once we owned a place, so too far into the future to apply. The D8 visa for digital nomads, which could be challenging if you're self-employed. D7 for those with passive incomes, such as retirees. This one would work for us, but was quite expensive with the help we would need navigating the Portuguese language. It also required a lot of paperwork that we didn't have easy access to, as it was packed away both physically and on hard drives in the container. There was also Article 89.2 that could get us on track to gaining citizenship inexpensively, but meant we'd have to stay in Portugal for up to 2 years without being able to leave.
The D7 took the lead for us, but in order to start the application, we would need to commit over $1,500 in fees, get a criminal record check, a Portuguese bank account funded with $25,000, a year's worth of travel insurance for each of us, documentation of all our investments, income sources, proof of obtained long-term housing, and more, all before arriving in Portugal.
We were torn as to whether we should even start the application process, with the amount of financial and administrative commitments we needed to invest. We hadn't even been to Portugal before. What if, after all, we didn't even like it?
On the other hand, we were eager to get started and find our property. But taking a trip to Portugal to see if we like it, then coming back to Canada to start all of this admin would put us behind and likely would cost a lot of money. We grappled with this conundrum while we mined the internet for more information. We're going to talk to a person who lives in Portugal tomorrow morning. And
It's pretty exciting.
ask some questions
Yeah, many questions.
for people that know, or from someone that knows.
Someone who's been there.
Someone that lives there even. A friend of a friend. And just see if they can answer some of our basic questions, because it's hard to research all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get the right answer. You get kind of different answers.
Yeah, opinions from humans on the internet.
Yeah, the internet.
There's lots of them.
Ever heard of it? That-
It's great.
Anyway, we're going to talk to somebody tomorrow. And
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Quite exciting to have that option.
The world is full of possibility, but it takes the right perspective to see that.
We had a dossier coming together for how to transfer our dream to Portugal, and we were feeling back on track.
With a renewed sense of energy and life force, we were ready to take on this new plan with all of its challenges. We had recalibrated our compass.
Oh, geez.
You're idiots.